So, you must have seen the new Chains of Domination trailer. As most of us speculated, Anduin was indeed turned into a Lich King, and already he accomplished a critical task for his new master. However, you must have also spotted that moment of hesitation when he defeated the Archon, and you must have seen that little look by Sylvanas when he delivered the key. Are we going to have to defeat Anduin in the future, or will he ultimately be saved and return to his former self? I'd like to thank Ridge Wallet for sponsoring this video. They've sent it to me about 6 months ago and it is amazing. You can put in 12 cards, you can put cash on the side, and it is just so much more practical than a regular wallet. There are over 30 colors and styles including carbon fiber and burnt titanium. There is a lifetime warranty and a test drive for 45 days, meaning if you don't love it, you can send it back. If you go to ridge.com/Doron, you can get 10% off as well as free worldwide shipping. Check out the link in the description below. An important thing to note right off the bat is that the Lich King is sort of what we have been calling Anduin. The term itself may not really be relevant, as the initial Lich King already served his purpose on Azeroth. However, I think it is fair to call Anduin a Lich King, as well he's just like the original one, serving an objective for the Jailer, but this time in a different shape. The Jailer created a Mordblade from his father's sword, Charlemagne, and Anduin was now turned into an agent. However, by the initial leaks a few days ago, based on that concept art, Anduin looked eerily like Arthas, and many of us thought that he was completely corrupted, as in he is now undead and he is a Death Knight. When we examine the cinematic though, it seems like he's just possessed by Zovaal, and it honestly seems like he can easily be reverted back to his previous state. It's not like he died and then he was resurrected. Before, I was constantly trying to figure out why did the Jailer single out Anduin from all these heroes of Azeroth that he had captured, and it makes total sense actually. Anduin is literally the perfect candidate for Bastion. If he died before the Machine of Death broke, he would most certainly end up there. So he picked a soul that he knew was destined for Bastion, and he decided to just corrupt it and send it as an agent to claim the Archon. This now brings us to the question, how did Anduin even end up in Bastion? I'm guessing we either freed him, most likely from Torghast, and then he ventured there, or he was brought there by the flying corrupted Kyrie and he just wanted an audience, and as the Archon already had us as mortals and she had a good experience, she must have let her guard down. The most important moment though of that cinematic is when Anduin killed the Archon. You could see his face at that one moment. He definitely was in shock, which means that the Jailer doesn't have total control over Anduin, and there is like that second there before he reverts back to the servant of the Jailer. Then Zovaal takes the key, which seems to be the soul of the Eternal One Archon, and says that 3 keys remain and the death will no longer be chained. I'd say this completely confirms my theory that I mentioned in about a dozen videos in the past, and that is that death long ago was chaotic and a force to be reckoned with in the cosmological war that has been going on for countless eons, and was more than likely defeated by some other force and order was enforced on it so that it could be kept in check. The Jailer seems to be wanting to go back to that old state of things, that he wants to put death back right into that war. Now, we don't really know how many keys are there, we just learned about them. Some speculate that 5 of them are there due to the whispers from a few expansions back, but it does make sense as each Eternal One seems to be a key. There are 4 Eternal Ones and the Arbiter. Here is where it gets really confusing though. If the Jailer needs 3 out of 5 keys, it means that he already has 2 in his possession. If you go by the Primus's message, he says that the Arbiter is the final key and that he must not reach the Sepulchre. Now, the Sepulchre in this case could be 2 things. Either the Primus is in the Sepulchre and the Jailer wants to get there to get his key, or he already has the Primus's key as he is the rune carver and he already broke him, and the Sepulchre is the lock that the keys will open. And I think this is more than likely the case, as the Sepulchre is often referred to as the Grand Design, so it could be the lock that he wants to use with all these 5 keys. On the other hand, Sir Denathrius could be the second key, as he was obviously working for the Jailer. He could have volunteered his, but seeing as when the Archon was killed, the key was released, I'm guessing the Eternal One needs to be dead for this to happen. This bit here could be crucial in the case of Anduin. Despite Denathrius helping the jailer more than anyone, Zovaal might need to actually get to Rimornia, his sword, and to claim the key so that he could open the lock. Now, if he sends his new vessel, Anduin, this could be a perfect time to escape. Do you remember that the sword of Sir Denathrius is now watched over by Z'Rali, a lost Naaru that long ago invaded Revendreth? Now, who is Anduin? A champion of the light that has such a strong connection that he can call down the light within the maw. You make the connection. Z'Rali is a lost Naaru that is sort of at a dead end. She cannot go back home, and it is a brand new character, meaning that she's completely expendable. So my theory is that Anduin is sent to either rescue or take the key from Denathrius. The light could intervene, the Naaru could sense Anduin's potential, and it could break the jailer's bonds and to mess up his plans. With the way the story is progressing and with the light that has been progressing for years, I think this is highly likely. On the other hand, when Anduin delivers the key to Zovaal, you definitely saw the look on the face of Sylvanas. She is not liking this. She thought she was doing the right thing, but in fact the jailer is no better than whoever took their free will. Now, this bit here, I gotta admit, can go either way, and I really hope they don't do the entire Sylvanas redemption storyline as in she's now good, as it could really put a huge stain on the lore. But Sylvanas could play a part in Anduin being freed, we just don't know how. They said that Sylvanas will be the final boss of the new raid. Now, just because she's a boss doesn't mean that we will kill her. Anything could really happen. She might save Anduin, as she obviously has doubts about the jailer, and she was the one responsible for getting him into the jailer's hands in the first place. Regardless, I do think that we will save Anduin ultimately, and there are many hints at this. First, the second of Anduin's free will, the Sylvanas hesitation and doubt, and more importantly, the light. I think the first hint was his use of the light within the maw, and there is a huge possibility that light might be the one that will save Anduin. The most important Lich King, Arthas, was a servant of the light consumed by the jailer, and the light definitely noted that as the Ashbringer broke Frostborn, infused by the power of the light. So this time, they may be out for blood, as we can definitely see that the light can be quite vengeful. The last time the Shadowlands, as they say, got out of their place, they launched a huge attack on Revendreth and then broke like half the zone. So this time, they may intervene and they might free their own champion. Not just to save their own, but if the jailer breaks free and death is once again a huge threat in this cosmological war as it might have been in the past, this could pose a serious threat to the forces of the light in the future, so they may decide to intervene this time. Thank you for watching. Check out Denathrius live by clicking on the screen, and also check out Doronsmovies Academy for videos on real world history and science. See you next time.